Hello, I'm Kyle Laidlaw, and welcome to the UCTV Sports 2023 March Madness Preview Show.
And I'm Jeremy Bronstein, and we're going to get into the big games that happened this week and what it means for March and March Madness.
First, we'll look at the Big Ten. On Thursday, Illinois rallied in the second half against Northwestern and pulled off the upset 66-62. Terrence Shannon Jr. came up huge, scoring 24 of his 26 points in the second half and powering the comeback. The Big Ten is highly contested right now. They've got 4 teams tied for third place behind Purdue and Northwestern at 1 and 2. Purdue is a clear favorite to win the conference, but tournament seedings will probably be determined by this week's upcoming Big Ten games.
Transitioning to the Big 12, which is currently the best conference in college basketball right now, the Big 12 had some great games this week. Kansas notched their 14th quad one win against TCU in a close battle on the road. The Jayhawks remain undefeated when DeJuan Harris scores more than 3 points, and Harris had 6 points and led the team with 8 assists against TCU on Monday. Kansas State also had a huge win over Baylor on Tuesday, led by one of the most amazing comeback stories in Keontae Johnson. Johnson led all scorers with 25 points, and the case for Jerome Tang being National Coach of the Year only increased after this massive win. The Big 12 is by far the deepest conference in college basketball this year, and the race for first place is going to come down to the wire.
The Big East also has some very important games this week. Marquette picked up a huge road win, outlasting Creighton to improve to 12-5 in conference play. Powered by their explosive offense, Marquette has a relatively easy schedule the rest of the way. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, they seem to be the favorite to come out on top of the Big East. UConn also grabbed a big win over Providence, 87-69. Jordan Hawkins continues to show why he deserves to be a first-round NBA draft pick, dropping 20 points on 50% shooting. The Big East is another closely contested conference. We'll definitely see some of these teams when the national tournament comes around, but the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden will be one of the more exciting conference championships this season.
Now we give it over to Jordan Rosenthal, who will give us a look at next week's big games.
Thanks, guys. Taking a look at this week's upcoming games, big games this week. We're going to head to the West Coast Conference in the biggest game for the conference this season and maybe the biggest regular season game in the conference in decades. St. Mary's won the first matchup between them and Gonzaga this season in overtime, but this upcoming game is for all the marbles. The winner of this game will win the West Coast Conference regular season title and secure the 1 seed in the wackiest conference tournament in the country. Seriously, Ben put up a graphic of this tournament. I mean, it's crazy. But a third game is likely inevitable at the end of the tournament, and if one of these teams can win both of these upcoming games, that'll bolster their resumes and put them in the 3-4 seed range for March. I'm feeling Gonzaga 79, St. Mary's 60. Gonzaga comes back, gets ready for March. Next up, we have number 8 Texas at number 9 Baylor, a huge game in Waco upcoming this Saturday. Texas is easily one of the hardest teams to plot in the country, and they're in the make or break point of their season. Assuming Kansas wins their next 2 games, which are not too difficult, Texas would have to win out to win the Big 12 regular season title, including beating Kansas in the regular season finale. Before Texas begins to worry about that, though, they have 2 extremely tough away games up, including Saturday's game against Baylor. Baylor has a stacked resume with very few blemishes on it. A win for Baylor opens up the opportunity for them to shoot for the 2nd seed in the Big 12, and potentially even the 1 seed, should Kansas slip up. Absolutely huge game for seeding purposes, and one that will shape a lot of these teams' seedings in March Madness as well. I think Baylor bounces back in a big way at home after 2 losses and shakes things up in the Big 12. I'm thinking Baylor 69, Texas 65. And lastly, as much as I hate watching and talking about the product that is Big 10 basketball, unless it's Nebraska ball, we still have to do it, and we have a big game, number 17 Indiana at number 5 Purdue, in a big rematch that Indiana won earlier this season. Indiana slipped of late, though, losing to Northwestern and Michigan State, and they're no longer crushing opponents in their victories, proving that this team is on a bit of a downward trend, going against a team that's on a similar trend in Purdue. Purdue can secure at least a share of the Big Ten regular season title by winning this game, and I think that they're the team that gets the get-right win here. They're still stung by the last game between these teams, and I think a win here starts Purdue's March momentum. I'm thinking Purdue 83, Indiana 70. That'll do it for this week's episode. Tune in next week when we take on the very last weekend of regular season college basketball. Thank you for watching UCTV Sports.